Happy Thursday, it's Miss Shannon, and today I'm going to read part 1 of Chapter 6 of The Wishing Well by Chris Colfer. Chapter 6, The Dwarf Forests. I packed you some food, a couple of blankets, and a few gold coins I've been saving, Froggy told the twins, and handed Connor a sheepskin satchel. Thank you so much, Alex said. It's so kind of you. Now, when you say food, what exactly are you referring to? Connor asked, holding the satchel a safe distance away from him. Some rolls and apples, Froggy told him. Oh, good, Connor said, relieved. Froggy handed Alex the map and journal they had been looking at the previous night. Are you sure you're ready for this, Froggy asked them. You're both awfully young to be going on a quest like this. Alex and Connor looked at each other, each thinking the same thing. It was hard enough to navigate around their own world at their age. Could they really travel around a different world altogether without the help of an adult? But the twins found reassurance in each other's eyes. They knew that through it all, they'd at least have each other. We really don't have any other choice, Alex said. Thank you so much for all of your help, Froggy. We would still be lost in the woods without you. Froggy smiled widely and nodded. Of course, he said. I should be thanking you. I rarely have an opportunity to feel so useful. Are you sure you don't want to come with us? Alex asked. A map is great and all, but a tour guide would be better. At first, Froggy's smile grew with excitement as he was tempted by the idea. The thought of traveling out into the world and leaving his hole-in-the-ground home was so alluring, it was clear he could feel the temptation throughout his entire body. However, his fears and insecurities about the outside world seeing him and what he had become erased the opportunity from his mind. I can't, children, Froggy said with a heavy heart, but I wish you the best. The twins were disappointed, but they understood. It was difficult for them even to go to school with just a small blemish on their face. They couldn't imagine the stress of facing the world as an enormous amphibian. It's very important that you get out of dwarf forests by sundown, Froggy instructed. Go to the path and travel south into the Corner Kingdom. It's a few hours' walk, but you'll be safer there. Travel as quickly and quietly as you can, promise me. The twins promised. Alex gave Froggy a big hug and kissed his cheek. Connor shook his hand and then wiped it on his pants. I hope we see each other again, Alex told him. That would be lovely, but for your sakes, I hope we don't. Froggy said and winked. Connor clapped his hands. All right, those items for the wishing spell aren't going to find themselves, he said. Let's go. The twins pushed open the door and climbed up from inside the underground home. As they headed into the forest, Froggy waved goodbye until he was out of their sight. Soon they were back on the dirt path they had landed on the previous day, and they headed south as they'd been instructed. It was very unnerving for the twins to be alone on the path now, and they understood the dangers of the forest. They regretted not trying harder to persuade Froggy into coming with them. They jumped at every tiny sound the trees made. Alex and Connor remained silent for the first hour or so as they walked, afraid that their voices would attract unwanted attention from some of the creatures Froggy had warned them about. We're very brave, Alex finally said to her brother, breaking the silence. Or very stupid, Connor said. The path curved through the forest, revealing new trees and bushes every few feet. After some time had passed, the twins could feel their nerves and tension calm. Their pace became slower and slower the more they walked, as they became more comfortable with being in the forest. Connor let out a long sigh. What's that for? Alex asked him. I was just thinking, Connor said. Alice went to Wonderland after she fell into a rabbit hole. Dorothy's whole house was scooped up by a tornado that dropped her off in Oz. The Narnia kids traveled around through an old wardrobe, and we ended up in the fairy tale world by falling through a book. Where are you going with this, Connor? Alex said. I'm just saying, it's kind of lame compared to the others, Connor said with another sigh. I wonder if there's a support group for people like us. You know, people who accidentally travel into other dimensions and whatnot. Alex was appalled. Do you not get how lucky we are? She said. Think about all the things we're going to see. Think about all the people we're going to meet. We're going to be experiencing things no one else in our world ever has. Connor rolled his eyes. I'll feel lucky as soon as we get back home. Alex reached into her bag and pulled out their map. Her eyes became fixated on it, and she looked up every minute or so to make sure she wasn't about to walk into a tree. Every few seconds, she'd snicker or smile when she discovered something new. She looked like a tourist. Shouldn't we be reading the journal? Connor asked. We need to make a list of the wishing spell items and find out where they could find them. We will, Alex said passively. There'll be plenty of time for that. Connor was getting frustrated with her. Did she not realize how serious the situation was? We need to go home, Connor said. What are we waiting for? There are a couple things I would like to see before we go home, Alex told him. What are you talking about? Connor said, his volume and temper rising. We're in the fairy tale world, Connor. We should make the most of it while we're here, Alex said. Who else gets the chance to see Cinderella's palace or Jack's beanstalk or Rapunzel's tower in person? Connor's mouth and eyes were wide open. He couldn't believe what his sister was saying. We're stuck in another world and you want to go sightseeing, he said. Are you hearing yourself right now? Do you know how crazy you sound? She stopped walking and turned to face her brother. There was seriousness and desperation in her eyes. Connor, the last year of our lives has been horrible. We've lost everything but Mom and each other, Alex said. Every night I've wished for a fairy godmother to magically appear and make everything better. And now we're in a place where that is a possibility. I don't have friends to go home to like you do. The only friends I've ever known live here, and I'm not going home until I meet them. Alex continued walking down the path. Connor was absolutely dumbstruck. Why am I the only one being logical? Connor questioned. You're always overthinking everything. How are you not out of your mind with worry? What's there to be worried about? Connor asked with a laugh. For starters, what's Mom going to do when she finds out we're missing? Connor pointed out. She'll think we were kidnapped, and she has enough to worry about already. Alex knew he was right, but her desire to see the fairy tale world was so strong that she was able to ignore him. All I need is a day or two, Alex said. That'll give me plenty of time. How are you so sure these worlds run on the same time schedule? Connor panicked. Think about it. The stories of Cinderella and Red Riding Hood have been around for hundreds of years in our world, but it only seems like a decade or less has gone by here since. A couple days here, and Mom might be here in her 80s when we get home. Connor rubbed his head. It hurt from thinking so hard. Alex was listening more than she wanted to. He was practically repeating word for word what the logical voices in her head were saying. What if something happens while we're gone? Connor asked. What if we get back and apes or aliens have taken over our planet? If I miss that, I will never forgive you. Alex stopped walking and looked up from the map. A very odd expression appeared on her face. Didn't think of that, did you? Connor asked her. But Alex wasn't listening to him. Something else entirely had caught her attention. Do you smell that? Alex asked. What? Connor said. All I smell are trees and dirt. Alex took a couple steps further. No, it's something else. It's sweet, like something baking. Connor sniffed. Sure enough, a scrumptious smell was drifting through the air. It smells like gingerbread, Alex said. She looked at her brother with large, excited eyes. Oh no, Connor said. Before he could stop her, Alex took off running into the trees, away from the path toward the direction the aroma was coming from. Alex, wait, Connor ordered. Come back. You don't know where you're going. Alex bolted through the trees, jumped over the boulders and bushes as she passed them. The scent became stronger and stronger the farther she strayed from the path. Connor was right behind her, urging her to turn around. Finally, Alex came to a halt, and Connor bumped into her. She had found exactly what she was hoping to see. A small gingerbread house sat in between two large trees. White frosting covered its pointed roof. Gumdrops were clumped around like shrubbery, and candy canes lined the path to the front door like a picket fence. Look, Connor, Alex said, catching her breath. It's a gingerbread house. A real gingerbread house. Look how cute it is. Whoa, Connor said. I feel like I may get diabetes from just looking at that place. Let's go inside, Alex said, and stepped towards the house. Connor grabbed her arm. Have you lost your mind? Do the words Hansel and Gretel cannibalism incident mean anything to you? I just want to peek inside for a second, only 1 second. The door of the gingerbread house slowly opened. Connor and Alex froze. A large hooded figure squeezed out of the door and then raised its head to stare at the twins. It was undoubtedly a witch. and although they had never seen a real witch to make a comparison to, she was more grotesque than they could ever have imagined. Her skin was wrinkled and pale with a yellowish tint. Her eyes were bloodshot and bulged out of her head. She was hunched over and had an enormous hump on her back. "Hello, children," the witch said. Her voice was high-pitched and crackly. "Would you care to join me for a bite to eat?" It was impossible for the twins to hide their fear. They both stood still staring at her, as if she were a rabid Tyrannosaurus Rex about to pounce on them at any moment. "No, thank you," Alex said. "We're just passing by. You have a lovely home." They slowly backed up, one foot at a time. "Wouldn't you like to see inside?" the witch asked. "The inside of whom?" Alex said, and Alex elbowed him. "Don't be silly, kitties. Come inside." And the witch was losing her patience. She extended an inviting, shaking hand toward them. They noticed it was covered in burn marks, probably from the last time she'd had visitors. "I thought the witch died at the end of Hansel and Gretel," Alex whispered to Connor. "Maybe she got hold of a fire extinguisher after they left, Connor whispered back. They continued backing slowly away from her. "Thank you so much for the invitation, but we really need to get going," Alex said. "We're on a really tight schedule," Connor added. "We're meeting a couple of dwarfs for coffee in half an hour, so we better move on." They quickly took off in the direction they'd come, but come to a jarring stop when the witch suddenly appeared in front of them with a pop. They tried running back the other way, but the witch just appeared in front of them again with a snap. They were trapped. That is the end of part 1 of chapter 6. I'll be back tomorrow with part 2. Have a great rest of your day, and bye.